right, guys, welcome. This is going to be the first episode on a series of podcasts. I have done some podcasts before, but we're starting off fresh. So I think I haven't spoken to you like in a podcast kind of deal since almost 8 months, something like that. It was the last time. I know we spoke in Paris, like in person, but in podcast is different.
It's been a while. I don't remember what the context was. Were you on Axie Tuesday, or did I come on your show, or we did something? I remember.
Yeah, you came on mine, and we had like a best of 3 and talking about Axie and all those kind of things.
It's all coming back to me. Yeah, it's a pleasure, dude. Always fun to catch up. It was nice to hang out in Paris as well. You know, good time at NFT Paris. Had a cool Axie meetup, and was kind of an interesting event in general. You know, very different vibe from like the NFT NYC and NFT LAs that, you know, I'm more used to in America.
I think it was more chill, right?
Yeah, a little more art focused. It seemed, I guess NFT LA also it was kind of art focused. That one I didn't spend nearly as much time in the venue because that was right after the hack happened. So we were just all over the place. But yeah, NFT Paris was very kind of art, collector, fashion, a lot more fashion vibe there. I guess it was normal fashion week around that time in Paris. So maybe that was part of the influence, but yeah, a little bit less like hardcore degen and, you know, not as much NFT like DeFi sort of like NFT flipper types and more like fine art or the blockchain, more of these like hardcore collectibles. Cyber Brokers was there. They were one of the ones that I was looking forward to meeting. Snuck a picture with Josie in the background, so that was pretty exciting.
Well, that's good.
Big win. Yeah.
So, all right. I want to start this off because with the question that everyone asked, the question that everyone has in their mind, why did you leave Axie? The big elephant in the room. What happened?
Is that the big elephant in the room?
I guess. I mean, I think a lot of people out there have a little that question in mind. Of, what happened? Why did he go? I thought everything was good.
I guess that's fair. You know, a lot of people were maybe surprised by it, especially the folks that just kind of check in and lurk and aren't as active day to day. You got to remember, I was like the first hire outside of Vietnam. You know, there were Jeff and Alex. They were running the growth of international side, and then it was me, and then programmatically pull almost immediately after. And we were the beginning of that international crew that's obviously expanded a lot since then. Vince and Phil was a part of it, Manuel, and now Leo, all these others, right? Kathleen. So I was early. It was a pretty wild roller coaster. You know, when I joined, we had like 30K DAU, or I guess I should say they had. And they wanted to hit 250K by the end of the year, 2021, and they ended at over 1 million. That's just bananas. And there was a cycle there that definitely left me feeling slightly burned out. And we never really quite came back down to planet Earth, right? The bear market started to come and the hack happened. So that was a whole nother, wow, look at, you know, chaos everywhere. And then we had the Origin launch after that. So it was just a lot of stuff. And I think for me personally, as the esports guy, it was getting increasingly difficult to sort of justify my position in the stack relative to the other options that were starting to open up for me. I really believed in Axie Classic. I think I wouldn't have joined Axie and left Dota and traditional esports if I didn't feel like that game was at a point where it was ready to start doing some experimental esports stuff. And I think what we were building with Axie Classic from an esports perspective made a lot of sense, was proving like taking the first steps on a path that can be sustainable. It hadn't been there yet, but that first Creator Cup we did, peaking at 50K concurrence, I forget which organization, was it UGG that did the Copycat Creator Cup in the Philippines that had 30 or 40K concurrence in its finals as well. Them real numbers. I mean, that's where an esports ecosystem can start to hit that flywheel because it has enough engagement that you can sell sponsors, and that starts to become sustainable. From a developer side, it's not just money in, money out user acquisition. You're jump starting an ecosystem that now starts to capture revenue and value from other sources. So it was just kind of time for me to move on. I think the esports space in general is also in a rough spot, so it was a good time for me to make a jump kind of out of esports and more leverage a lot of the Web3 things that I've learned, is now crypto unicorns. On the product, community, kind of marketing side, now I'm much more involved in developing the flow of products and user experience and connecting community feedback to tangible stuff on the roadmap, things like that. So much different scope from being the esports guy that's running events and doing, like esports biz dev with guilds. And I think, to kind of wrap up this long-winded answer, to me, it's just unfortunate that they went in a direction with Origins that is just less and less kind of esport first. And, that's fine. Maybe it's a better path. Maybe Origins will be better for it. But I wish we could have just done Axie Classic and Axie Origins in parallel instead of turning off Axie Classic and turning on Origins. They're just totally different games. So fundamentally, that's what led me on a path to go, I don't know if this is the thing for me anymore, because the product that I signed up for is still, in my opinion, the product that is superior.
There's a very divided kind of way of thinking about V2 and Origins. They are very different games, and I want to say that what we're trying to do here is not just like a direct critic against Axie or whatever. It's just I know a lot of people had that thing in mind, like what happened, why did he go? That it's gonna happen. That happens in companies. People change. They have different career paths, and they eventually leave, and they start going down their own path. And we saw with you with ZYORI, and we might see it with other people. It changes, and not everyone stays in the same company.
I was there for 20 months, maybe slightly more, and it's like in crypto time, that's turbo speed. So products changed a lot in the time that I was there. And again, maybe it's for the better. I'm not necessarily saying that they chose the wrong fork at the road. I'm just saying that the choice that they made doesn't really match my expertise. Sometimes it's just time for something new. And like I said, it was a cool opportunity at Crypto Unicorns where they needed someone that, we're not doing esports, Crypto Unicorns. So it's a totally different, there are some PvP games coming out, like Unicorn Party will have some, Mario Party, Fall Guys kind of vibe where, yeah, sure, we could do some tournaments. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to be very clear, running tournaments is not esports. It's one of these things that triggers me so much these days. I just try not to react to it. But like tournaments is not esports. Esports, at least to me, is about an ecosystem, like sport, a sports franchise. Like we're trying to build this thing that kind of is a flywheel, stands on its legs. It's an ecosystem of fandom and trading value between sponsors and event organizers and players and teams and guilds. And that ecosystem, that's esports, like what you have with Counter-Strike and League of Legends. So we might have some tournaments, but that's not really esports. So when I say that because I see so much with games now, and we saw this for a lot of years over the last decade and a half with esports as it was coming up. Like, oh, we're esports ready. Oh, I can see esports with this game. It's like yeah, maybe. Like Mobile Legends, okay? Like Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, the League of Legends on mobile. It's really popular in Southeast Asia. That game is a legit esport now. It took them a half a decade to get that game to the point where it was actually fun enough and watchable enough and had enough infrastructure that you could really call it an esport. It was a joke for a super long time. So I'm not saying these games can't eventually make it, but just looking at a game that's in like alpha or in its early release, they're like, well, it's kind of competitive. We can do some tournament. That esports is about fandom and people wanting to watch it. That's what drives the wheel of esport. Will it get tens of thousands of viewers? That's why you can call Rocket League an esport, because when they used to do their big giant world championship finals, it would get big six-figure numbers like the other, quote, legitimate esports like Counter-Strike and League. Sorry, I'm rambling.
No, go ahead.
Honestly, guy. But anyway, not everything that is like a competitive game necessarily has esports. And that's totally okay. That's not, this isn't like a bad thing. It's like, let's just call a spade a spade. You could do some competitive live ops. That's great. Knock yourself out. Competitive gaming is never going to die. Let's just be careful what we label esports, because words should have definitions and they should mean something. Over time, words should get more clear, not less clear. Damn it.
It'll happen. It'll happen. I wanted to ask you something as well. What would you say is something positive, like positive experiences that you could take from your time during in Axie and Sky Mavis, not just like working directly in Axie, but with the team, with everything you had around you, and how is that helping you out in this change now? Not esports, now you're on product side.
Yeah, I mean, Axie changed my life, man. I had been watching crypto for a lot of years and didn't really have that much money or the balls to invest the little money I had in crypto. I was mostly buying stocks and just kind of watching crypto. Even though I had tried to make a blockchain game in 2018 on Ethereum, we kind of failed and concluded, this thing's not ready for gaming. Like, we're not sure if this is actually a good use case. So I was pretty skeptical until I came back again in, whatever it was, 2021, and kind of reevaluated with fresh eyes, especially as things were rumbling upwards at the end of 2020, right? So Axie was the catalyst for me to finally move on and take that next leap in my career, in my life, in everything. Like traditional esports wasn't working for me anymore. This is sort of a weird thing to say now. I think you guys in Web3 just see me as an esports guy. Like, oh, you like made it in Dota. You're one of the Dota guys. I appreciate that. But within the Dota bubble, I would argue I never really made it. I spent like the better part of a decade struggling to become an established commentator and like never really did it. I scraped by like 30, 40, 50 grand a year to like live and not feel completely broke. And in some ways I was like, hey, I'm my own boss. I own my own destiny. This is great. I gladly take that trade-off instead of having more money at a job that I hate. But, you can get kind of trapped in that. And I was never that good, one of the most embarrassing stats of my life is that I tried as hard as I fucking could to get to the top tier of Dota, right? To get past Ancient League and into Immortal. I never even made it into the league below. I hit a wall. It's one of the few things in my life where I can say I truly tried as hard as I could, and I'm like 60 percentile at Dota and at my absolute peak, my absolute best. And that is not a lot of street cred. All the people that I was working with, like even most of the other play-by-play commentators and stuff, were just way better than that. So I was always kind of this guy that, until I really found my voice and my confidence, was like, there's ZYORI asking a dumb question again. And that was hard. So I had a space and I ran a company, so I was able to slot myself into events to survive. But I was never one of the tier 1 premier Dota casters. And Axie was like a thing that I finally felt like, wow, I can go somewhere new. This is a new thesis. Gaming feels ready for a shakeup. Dota's kind of plateaued. This is a great transition. So I'll be forever thankful that they were able to open that door for me. And Jiho and I, that first year, being able to travel around, go to all these different events, do these Axie meetups. I mean, dude, that bull run, I will probably never experience anything like that again in my life. Like the combination of the macro conditions, the pent-up energy from COVID, like my personal bags going to the moon, the project I'm being on going to the moon. For like 6 months straight, I would wake up every day with like 10 to almost 100 new messages across emails and comments and like Discord and all this stuff. We were like the hottest shit in the crypto world for a little minute there. And I was like right next to Jiho on the front lines. Bananas. I mean, it's so crazy and wild that we were in that spot and they kind of trusted me to be a part of that voice and share some of that vision. I mean, I feel like I found some of my confidence and I found my voice, and like, they were very, very accepting about me being me, and they weren't obnoxious about like, let's put fucking rainbows all over the place and like leverage you as a gay pride thing. They didn't make me a token, like there's a lot of really, really cool things about that journey that I feel so fortunate to have, not just financially, but jumped aboard and saw the potential right before that big inflection point happened. And I'm also really thankful for Axie. I mean, that event was, it wasn't all me, right? It was certainly a team effort. We had a team of contractors that did a lot of the heavy lifting, but that was kind of my primary focus for a big stretch there leading up to it. That's 6 months before AxieCon. That was a whole lot of ZYORI, a lot of that programming, a lot of those speakers, a lot of that content. That was me leading the charge on a lot of that vision. And I'm pretty proud of how AxieCon turned out. I was a little nervous, there were some moments where I thought things might explode, and they didn't. And it turned out to be a really great event. So I have some things like that just feel like once-in-a-lifetime experiences. I'll work other conferences, but AxieCon was so special because that production crew had never done gaming or esports before. So that final day when we switched from panel to like full-on esports, I mean, I was showing them like, all right, here's how we arrange the furniture. This is how the show's gonna flow. After we ran through the whole thing again, they're like, you know what, man? You want to just like direct this live? Like we seem to have it all in your head. You know what's going on. How about you just queue up? Anything you want to do, they're like, we got the gist, dude. You get in a jam, just walk in, do a little crowd work, go in with somebody in the audience. Don't worry, we'll follow you with the mobile. You know, you want to throw to a commercial, just say it. We'll throw up a break screen. You know, like we had all these little if this, do that. And we trust you, man. It's your show. Just run with it. When you want to close it out, we'll be right there. That was surreal. To have a production crew that was that professional, that was a show that I kind of wrote and had that much blood, sweat, and tears in, that I could just speak from the heart, and that it was to me like a showcase that, man, I really know how esports stuff is supposed to flow. I mean, that was really that last day was really pretty fluid. You know, I felt like that was a great broadcast. There weren't a lot of hiccups. There were a couple of bumps, but our panels covered it. I mean, you were right there. You were casting some of it. For a bunch of guys that had never worked the land before, you know, it was me and these Axie guys. It was pretty damn.
That's pretty good.
To know that we were doing that kind of live and like somewhat off the cuff, like me telling you guys, all right, stand here. When I say this, you'll know that to take over. Like that was pretty off the cuff. There was not a very detailed script. So that was just a surreal experience. So to have that opportunity, already lucky. And then to have all these great people there with me that made it so awesome, double lucky. And then for us to get those amazing esports matches and then also kind of knock it out of the park from a talent perspective. Always things that could have been better, but given the lack of experience and that team had never worked together and this was a totally new stack, dude, we crushed it. And that felt so good. And I'm going to confess, dude, that closing moment to AxieCon, it's one of my most proud broadcasting moments ever because I had nothing prepared. When the show ended, I was like, I knew I was excited because I was at that thing where I was smacking my neck. If you ever see me in an event and I'm doing this, that means I'm like, oh, I'm so excited about something I can't contain myself. That was me on the stage watching people cast that final game 7 or game 5 or whatever the fuck it was. I was like up here in adrenaline, and then they were wrapping up, and I saw that look on Kyle's face where he was just kind of, all right, well, I think that's it. I think like, we're gonna, all right, so let's see. ZYORI, I hope you're ready. And then we did the whole like trophy thing, and I was stressing out about how to move the trophies around. You want to drop it. So we did it. We do the interviews, and then as soon as I think, who was I think Peven might have been the last interview, whoever it was, as he was saying his thank yous, I had this spot in my head where I was like, oh shit, the show's over. Like you gotta close it out, big boy. This is it. Don't fuck with this.
Yeah.
Final thing,
It's your moment.
Wow. So, and I just turned and it was like a full flow state moment. I was not thinking, I was just talking. And I don't remember what I said, but I remember it was short and it was sweet and it was like, it just punched. So I should go watch it back and see if I still feel that way. But I remember feeling that in the moment, then watching it back and being like, that was a great, strong closer. Like perfect way just to end an amazing event like that. And to be alone on the stage and everyone's going crazy and kind of cheering for the event, but you know, you're on the stage, so it kind of feels like they're cheering for you. And they're also cheering for you a little bit. I don't know, man. That was the absolute highlight of my broadcasting career. Totally. No, I've been in front of way more viewers, much larger audience, but that one, that just hit, that felt like my baby. And for them to trust me to close it out, to see Trung and Andy in the audience, like knowing that they'd watch that entire day, to see them with a little tear in their eye watching me close it out, like that shit fucking, it was good. It was good.
Like the whole crowd felt it was rumbling. The whole place was rumbling. And with every single card that was played, everyone was on their toes. It was, I don't know, thinking about what was going to happen next. And I know that was a lot of time in the making. How did you keep like your sanity through all this? How did you work on your mental?
The hardest part is actually in like all of the parts where you have downtime to try to plan and process. I actually think it's easier once you're in emergency mode where you're like, the event is here, it's happening. Now all I can do is just be present and try to fix as many things as I can. And you know there's only so much one can do as one person when there's all this stuff going on in tandem, happening live with an audience. But for me, it's always that like that 30 minutes before the show actually starts is the hardest because you've done rehearsals, you're all set up, everything's in place, and there's always that like, all right, we're clear. Go grab a bagel. We got an hour until the show starts. Everybody relax. And in my head, I'm like,
Relax.
at the moment, I got a 10-minute cold open. I got to walk out there with no fucking slides and just talk for 10 minutes. Like, what do you mean relax? And usually, I review my notes. I like to get in my own zone. I'm a ritual guy. You know, I like to have things that kind of calm me down. Some people use scent. I'm a sound guy. I'm embarrassed to admit that I listen to very aggressive, homophobic gangster rap to get in the zone before I go out on stage. Usually with esports, I don't do that for comedy or other things, but I used to do that at esports events when I was stage hosting, or desk hosting rather. I would have to open the show, and the opener was always the hardest part because everyone's low energy. You got to go high funnel and like present all this information, and it kind of has to be organized and stuff. And you want to come out strong, like that. Everybody sees the open, you know. And that's just I started it, and then I just ran with it. I get pumped up, dude. Throw on a little DMX, you know. I got a rap jams playlist, and I blast it up and just try to get deep in my notes. But it's hard. I mean, I honestly have an issue with being a workaholic and going too hard and having moments like this where I'm all in on this event, and I realize that I've become like a maniac, and I'm missing things and snapping at people and not being my best self. And that's when you have to delegate, and you have to find people that you trust. And honestly, you have to just prevent yourself from getting there. You have to put markers in place, and you feel it compounding early on. Be like, hey, a few more steps like this, and we're getting into the dark place. So guys, let's course correct now before we end up at the point of no return. But once you're at the point of no return, like I said, it actually gets easier because you just go, well, everything is what it is. If it breaks, it breaks. We're all here now. So if the power goes out, I mean, I guess we're drinking in the dark. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, we're here. We're just going to make the best. That's actually a way easier psychology. You just force yourself to make the best of it because it's like almost
gotta adapt.
You know,
you gotta adapt to any situation that happens in any kind of event. Like, you have to be ready for something to happen because it can, and you gotta be on your toes to kind of just work it out quickly. And that leads me to something else I wanted to ask you. Like, you were full on during AxieCon, doing everything. It feels like you didn't have like that time to just sit back and really just chill. There was always something happening. I feel like that goes for most people in the community. Like, how were you able to balance your personal life versus your workaholic kind of phase?
Well, I'm a work in progress. It's getting better now. I mean, without getting too personal here, I definitely realized throughout my 20s, I cycled through a lot of kind of long-term relationship, like, 1 to 2 years. And I thought it was them. And once I get into my 30s, I realized, I think it was me. I think that like a year and a half was about as long as people can stand my workaholic shit. And that fundamental question of, are you ever going to put me first? Like, maybe in a decade is like, all right, dog, I'm out. I'll see you. Good luck with that, buddy. So the older you get, the more you see that kind of like, wow, some of these people turned out to be really cool. And they got married, and now they have a family. And you start to wonder, like, wow, could that have been me if I was just a little more present and not so caught up on, the next event? And, that's the dark side of that entrepreneurial sort of activity. When I was doing esports, I was a founder of like 3 separate companies outside of esports and doing all this other work for, trying to plant seeds, and you're hoping one of them's going to grow into a tree that's going to print money one day. Because like I said, I spent a lot of my 20s really on a fairly modest, like low income. Living in Boulder, Colorado on $50,000 a year, you definitely don't feel rich. Let me tell you that. I know $50K sounds like a lot, but it's all relative to where you live.
I mean, divide that into 12, and then you're going to start seeing what it actually is monthly. So, because 50K sounds like a lot, but you got to know it's a whole year, man. It's tough. It's tough. And
moving to Puerto Rico has helped. For me now, I go outside every day, which might sound really neckbeardy, but I spent a lot of years of my life not going outside every day. I go outside once or twice a week. I don't think that's particularly healthy. I think walking is actually good. I like this stupid saying, motion is lotion. Like, just get your body moving. It makes you feel good. It gets the thoughts juicing. So I don't have a car in Puerto Rico, so that makes it a lot easier. But now I average like 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day. I try to just go walk places. Sometimes I'll just go walk the extra block to go to a different coffee shop. because I just want to get more steps in. And now that it's so sunny, I think I'm definitely not vitamin B deficient. I try to swim in the ocean at least like 3 days a week when I'm home in Puerto Rico, if not more. Go to the beach for like an hour, plenty of sunscreen, all that kind of stuff just to break it up. I think you have to develop mental discipline and just force yourself to check out. I think for a lot of years, I let myself get manic by being like, I can't stop thinking about this until it's solved. And that's just a fool's errand. And now I'm getting much more into this, like, okay, I know I put the work in this week. Today is Saturday, and I'm not going to work today. I'm just going to do the things that I enjoy. And sure, if I have a thought of like I'll jot it down and then I'll revisit it on Monday. But like, this is me time, that unapologetic me time. I didn't really do that with Axie because it seemed like we had a mission and there were so many things going on that it was just better to keep chugging through stuff, and maybe eventually we get caught up and be above water. But I just ended up working on it, and I needed to have more of that force. Once you get stuck on that loop, you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to clock out on Sunday. You spend that whole Sunday like, I gotta check my email, dude. I gotta get through these messages, or I'm just gonna have more tomorrow. You know, you start rationalizing it in these really stupid ways. And now, so my new thing is I work Monday through Friday like normal. I work about halves on Saturday where I do a little bit, like I said, I'll take some notes, maybe I'll do some creative stuff. Sundays are unapologetically me. Sundays are just 100% degen. I just wake up and try not to have a plan and just do like, all right, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go grab some waffles. Oh, I want to watch TV. Wow, this thing on Netflix looks interesting. The whole goal of Sundays is to just be present. Enjoy what is in front of you and just put whatever in front of you that sounds good. You're like, you know what? Social Bell sounds great. Bitch, get yourself some Taco Bell. That's what Sundays are now all about. So far, so good. I mean, this new system seems to be helping. I haven't really popped off yet since I got this new cycle, but we'll see. Still early in the year. But
it's working out so far. It's working out so far, and that's all good. I wanted to go to let's say like a deeper kind of question. Do you regret anything?
Anything at all?
Do you regret obviously this is not like talking directly to like Axie related. We're out there. We're talking about you now. We're not talking about Axie. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about you. Do you regret something like off top of mind? Is there something you regret?
Wow. Well, so yeah, regret is like a weird word. I've definitely, heard podcasts and stuff where people talk about like you shouldn't think about regrets. It's life is what it is, and you have decisions, you make decisions, and like don't get caught up in regret. I do think about different forks at the road where I started as a computer science major and then I switched to business, and I do often think about what the life of ZYORI would have been like if I had just been writing code that whole time and I were like a 10-year programming veteran right now, because I do really enjoy computer science. Fascinating. I've been interested in it ever since I was a kid using computers. Like, I was curious how Windows 95 worked for the first time I loaded that thing up. And I wouldn't say regret, but it was like a big opportunity, like a big fork.
Different decisions.
I think I'm more of a natural for entrepreneurship. Like the way my brain works, like business stuff comes very easy and naturally to me, which is great that I studied a thing that I'm good at and leaned into it. And it serves me very well. And often when I tell people I have a degree in entrepreneurship, they're like, wow, you used that exactly. So that's why I don't really call it a regret. But there was an alternate reality where I was a genius programmer and I got into Web3 and I made way more money on crypto and ended up way further ahead. And like it would be really cool if I could actually write the code to create some of the ideas in my head in terms of Web3. I have no shortage of ideas for mini games and stuff. I have a shortage of skill set on how to write them and capital to hire people to write for me. So soft regret. I would say in terms of major regrets, high level, letting myself overworking myself, letting myself get to a state where I'm justifying overworking to the point that it is detrimental to everything, including the work that I'm justifying it with. Like, that's that really dark feedback loop where you're down this rabbit hole. I can't stop till the problem's done, but the more manic I get, the worse I'm doing at everything, even including solving this problem that's making me manic. That's a nasty loop to get stuck in. And I have definitely tanked some relationships and anyone who's read my book, there's moments in there where it's like I've really embarrassed myself, not just sniff, but like unloading on people, like being so stressed out and going to an event and some guy has a cable that's too short and being like, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of here! You're not like freaking out on people. You're like, where did that, God damn, where did that come from? Why am I screaming at this guy? One of my really good friends, Dakota, said like, hey, I get it, man. The guy fucked up, but you don't have to take your whole day out on it. That was one of the nicest ways for him to say, like check your shit. Check yourself because you just wrecked yourself, man. You ain't about to wreck yourself anymore. You know, so I think those are my biggest regrets is like getting to that point where I'm just walking around red and not like flagging myself and just saying, guys, I need to remove myself. I need a mental health day and just being like a dude and trying to push through it like I'm not a pussy. You know, like I can handle it, and sometimes you just need a break. I did it at Beyond the Summit. I did it with AxieCon. I did it at Moonduck several times, and it's just I want to try to just be a more balanced person, and I regret not having anxiety over giving myself space to just be a regular balanced human. I really pushed to the level. I set this standard for myself of like, I'm not pushing at 100% every day. I'm falling behind. And it's like, that sounds really good. That's like you'll read on The Rock's Instagram, but like you can't, no processor can run at 100% 24/7. That's just math. The math doesn't check out. So I regret lying to myself for years and ruining relationships and friendships with people that I genuinely did care about because I was just in rage mode. And to be fair, being in rage mode did unlock me in other ways where I got crazy work done and I was able to like sell things that couldn't be sold. And I kind of did the impossible in esports multiple times. Every event that Moonduck did, we were all in. All of our capital was on the table. Every single event except the very earliest one. Think about that, though. It's a company that existed for 6 years with live events where so many things can go wrong. In every event, you're like, all right, guys, if this one goes bust, I don't think we have enough money for the next one. And to like break spin after 6 years doing that, it's impressive. We really defied the odds and did something many people could not do. We watched a lot of people try to do it with more capital and go bust in the time that we survived and broke even. So I'm proud of what I was able to do on a business side, but it had a huge opportunity. And I don't want to say it wasn't worth it. I got to travel the world, got to do some really cool stuff. It set me up to have the perspective that I have now and be doing all this really fun stuff in Web3. But yeah, I regret not taking a few more vacations along the way, you know, spending a little extra money and just, you know, trying to be more patient with people. Now I make a really conscious effort to try to be more patient with people and remember that most people are trying their best at all times, even if they're falling short. Very seldom are people trying to fuck it up. And it's natural to lean into that. Like, what? How could you have fucked it? It's just like, well, I'm embarrassed now, but in the moment, I didn't see it, man. I'm like, just trying to remember that to me is like the secret sauce. I'm like, if I can remember anytime I'm starting to get a little elevated, to go, okay, you're getting a little triggered. Remember, back to that. They're trying as hard as they can. Remember, you fucked up something not that long ago. You're an idiot too. Just. You know, you get better with honey than vinegar. Just having that dialogue, you know, me getting into that ritual of trying to start saying that mantra to myself when I'm at like 10% instead of trying to start that mantra when I'm at 50%. That's huge. That's huge for me. So like I said, work in progress, man. It's as I've said before, I run a little hot.
And like you said, it's a work in progress, and you're definitely like doing what needs to be done to get yourself there, your mental state there. Like you said, you have your own like schedule now. I feel like setting your own schedule, your own times to work is important. And I think I'm getting a little side eye from my wife here because I'm kind of like the same. I'm always on the computer, always doing something, and just kind of getting that thought of, if I don't do this, then it's not getting done. I need to get this done not right now. And I feel that it gets to be a little detrimental at times, and you gotta find your balance.
My book, Surviving Esports, it definitely cost me a relationship. And of all my relationships that I had in my adult life, like since I was in my early 20s, that's the one that I think about the most of, like, you know, we might still be together if I didn't hit that level. It was the last event that Moonduck was doing, and I felt like my business partners were mailing it a little bit, and I just got to that point where it's like, okay, we're here and we're all in on this. This is my exit. After this, I'm moving on to this next thing. I remember her saying to me, what am I supposed to do? Just wait around for 3 weeks until you can come back and, pay attention to me again? And I was like, kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that's a fair thing to ask. I'm just saying I'm the CEO of this thing. I'm in too deep. I admit that I fucked up, but I'm at it as a human at my breaking point. I have no more bandwidth to. I just can't, dude. I'm sleeping 4 hours a night. All our money's on the line, and like there's a dozen people that if I walk away now, all these people lose out. Like I can't walk away, man. I'm sorry. And my book was wrapped up in that, where I was trying to hit this deadline of get the book out there. I don't know. It's wild. So anyway, that's the kind of shit that I regret, but was it worth it? Was that relationship more important than getting the book out at that time when I could launch it with an event and actually give it some legs? Because Psych Out read my book. I think it's a big reason why I got hired, because he knew my story already. So if there's a world where that book got me my job at Axie, dude, that was a pretty valuable thing for me to do, just to prove that I can do it. It's hard. It's like apples and oranges, but I wish I could have just still executed that deadline without sacrificing the relationship. That sucks. I feel shitty about it. Sucks when you look back and go, yeah, I was an absent partner. That doesn't feel good. I should have respected the other person's time a little more and maybe prioritize things a little differently. True.
I think we all do stuff like that. We still have on the back of our heads, and it shapes the way that we see stuff and look at the future differently. And I know that those kind of things always kind of pave a way for you if you're doing it correctly. If you have the right mindset, you can actually use that as I guess kind of fuel to get your life on a different path. And obviously
cheesy, but it's all growth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all like trial and error. You live and you learn.
Yeah. On this last part, it's gonna be rapid fire questions. It's gonna start easy and it's gonna end with one that I think you already answered it, but okay. So, favorite color?
Pink.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Favorite hobby?
Probably writing.
Okay. Favorite series?
All-time #1 favorite series.
Or currently?
Oh, currently Succession, for sure.
Okay.
Succession is the hot shit. All-time, I mean, it's something cheesy, like either Sopranos, The Office, or Breaking Bad. Like, I've gotten the most enjoyment out of those series, for sure. Watched all of them an absurd amount of times. A painful amount of times to a human.
Movie? Favorite movie?
Probably Good Will Hunting. God, there's so much. It's like at its face value, it's an amazing movie. The writing is beautiful. The fact that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote the fucking thing. Just so many layers. Robin Williams, R.I.P. Masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. If you haven't seen Good Will Hunting, just go do it right now. It's on.
I'm actually gonna write that down.
It's fantastic, and it's also like it's 90s. It's so 90s. So if you're at all connected to 90s culture, it's just it's just perfect time capsule of that late 90s energy.
And last one, happiest year of your life?
Probably 2021, because the bear market didn't really start until like halfway through January of 2022. So 2021 was the year that I went from all right, finishing out my last Dota contract to starting this new job in Web3 to holy shit, I think we're doing it to we've ascended. And I mean, in December, things are starting to decline. We've clearly peaked, but we were still like, pretty healthy in terms of numbers and all that kind of shit. So I think 2021 was just that was and post-COVID as well, a year I could start traveling again. That just was. It's a bananas year, dude. First time I went to Iceland, just so much stuff happened. I changed as a person more in 2021 than any other year by an order of magnitude, dude.
That's amazing. I thought you would say that. That's why I said I think you actually kind of answered that before.
Yeah.
But I mean, why wouldn't it be one of the best years of your life, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool time with cool people building cool stuff. And I think no matter where things end up, you know, if Axie stays as the leader of Web3 gaming or if somebody else overtakes it and grabs the torch, like Axie was a clear catalyst, right? Axie opened the floodgate, had this proof of concept. I mean, it inspired games like Crypto Unicorns. That was part of the reason why it was such a cool opportunity for me, where I believe in what's in the white paper. I haven't waned on the general thesis of digital ownership and gaming being a really great application for that, and the broader thesis of gaming just being a good onboarding tool for the technology, and gamification is going to exist in all sorts of layers, and this is part of it. This is part of that interconnectivity. I believe in that very strongly, and I believe in Ethereum very strongly as sort of a root premise of that, right? I love the public utility, the public good of this world computer. I believe very much in that vision and that value structure. So the fact that Ronin's an EVM, that Polygon's an EVM, to me, that's the sweet spot. You know, I want to talk about the arbitrage. I'm way more interested in that part of the crypto ecosystem than like the Avalanche, Solana, kind of Cardano take on it. Not that they don't have a place, not that they can't succeed. I don't want to get flamed too hard for being a complete ETH Axie bias. I try to still keep a balanced perspective, but when I look at the landscape, ETH is just where I land in terms of where's my ethos, and I look at anything that's an EVM as an extension of that ecosystem that could one day work together. So Crypto Unicorns seems like I didn't have to compromise my belief structures or ethos to jump to this project. There's something similar with Axie, something very different from Axie, totally different set of challenges trying to scale up the user base, but a lot of that core premise of we're going to use digital ownership to deliver cool gaming experiences and expand the utility of these base assets. In our case, it's unicorns instead of Axies with multiple gaming experiences. In our case, we're building them with developers we've hired instead of it being more of a crowdsourced builders program. But it's all rooted in the same thing. Game assets that can participate in a bunch of different games in an ecosystem that has a land element attached to it that can scale and breed and mostly be in the hands of.
So you're still in
100% sold on.
Yeah. You're on your own ecosystem still, so.
But so it's cool that Axie was the proof of concept to make that like a viable thing that now other businesses are like, dude, that sounds awesome. We want to build a game like that. You know, that's seeing announcements like, wow, Dr. Disrespect's game is getting legs. There's huge distribution in that NFT collection. MapleStory is going to start building on the blockchain. Like Korea is coming for play to earn, and I really think it's going to pop the fuck off. It wouldn't surprise me if Korea becomes the next big proof of concept that takes a torch in terms of that's a lot of volume. That's a lot of transactions. Like it's going to be hard to beat that connectivity that Korea has when something clicked like that, right? It spreads like wildfire. But Axie will always go down in the history books as the folks that were there and ahead of the curve and took this thing to the next level and kind of ushered in that next wave of innovation. So I'm excited. I think we're still going to have a little time before we see like these AAA games start to deploy stuff. You know, like CCT, the EVE people have been now talking about blockchain things. So to me, the thesis is strong. The writing's on the wall that a lot of these major developers are starting to build in this direction. And I think a lot of the big ones that aren't know the writing is on the wall, but just stand a lot to lose by handing all of their economy aspects over to the community. They have right now, if you're like Supercell and you own 100% of the ecosystem and 100% of the revenue, what's your incentive to turn that thing into a DAO and hand it off to people? You know? So like I actually think a lot of the orgs like that see the potential in blockchain and aren't inherently against it, but they really have no business incentive to usher it in or accelerate its adoption. So that's still the precipice I think we sit at. But yeah, really proud to still be building in this space, and I still have a shitload of Axie assets. I'll definitely start selling off some of my like origins and like Japanese ones. I think if things start to rebound, I've got maybe overspent a little bit on the collectibles, but you know, I've got Ron tokens, I got my Mystic,
you got Soraya,
Arctic one. Yeah, I still got Soraya. So you know, I'm very happy if Axie succeeds, and I feel like I'm still working in a similar enough ecosystem that there is a trickle down effect. If Axie 5x's their player base again, it helps everyone who's playing in that. Peg Axie would not have existed if Axie wasn't that proof of concept bringing all the players in. You know what I mean? So I, as much as we're kind of competitors, I think we're still mostly like on the same rocket ship that has a very shared thesis that is a very similar threat to a lot of the power structures that we're all poking at. You know?
The idea is
it's with the stick. Yeah. So
ideas. And
I know some people don't see it that way, and I'm sure there's some people in Axie that see me as a betrayer or whatever. But is what it is. You're not going to win every battle on Twitter, but I
mean,
feel very happy.
What you got to do is just keep on building, keep on working on what you're doing, what you want to do. I don't know, and just follow your own path, man. I mean, it doesn't matter what other people say, what other people think. They're not you. You're carrying your own torch per se, and you can do that. There's nothing anywhere that says if you start off in a project, you gotta end it there. It's there. You gotta continue. It's might be Axie, might be anything. There's people that can jump over to different things. We're all human. We all have different kind of way of thinking, and we can do whatever we want. So I think having you on a different project opens up a lot of people's minds to, okay, yeah, there are other things out there, and they have the same idea. Like, they are working to create something special on this same ground that we're all paving. So I think in the end, there might be some salty people, I know, but it'll run over, I guess.
Yeah, it's all good. There's a very strange kind of oxymoronic aspect of Web3 where everything I was talking about with EVM, long term, most of the major players would agree, like, yeah, interoperability is a part of it. And it is cool that we all speak the same language. That doesn't necessarily mean every game asset in every gaming experience, but having that shared protocol, this will all fit together more nicely in the future as more shit gets built. But in the short term, how do we get there? Because we're all like competitors fighting for our slice of the pie to realize that interoperable future that will really kick in more mainstream adoption. So it's a fascinating little game theory grid of the short term of, you know, how aligned are we? I saw it in esports too, right? Like, how different are Dota and League of Legends really? In some ways, you're like, yeah, we're fighting over the exact same player base, and there are two different takes on the same thing, and it's us versus them. But as we saw over the years, they kind of grew in parallel. What was good for one ended up kind of being good for the other, and they were different niches that appealed to slightly different gamer archetypes. And it turns out that's okay. It turns out there's room for Wendy's and Burger King. And there's nothing wrong with that, man. Variety is the spice of life, Edgemont.
It is, and well, I got to thank you for actually taking time being here. It's always good to talk to you, man. It's always good. I get a lot of stuff from it, and I hope everyone that sees this also gets something from that too, because that's the idea. And well, yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you soon again.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Keep an eye out on some crypto unicorn stuff. I gotta show my thing. We're still deploying over the next quarter or two. There's going to be more releases, so just keep an eye out.
Oh, I will do.
The system is still early, and I hope you're doing well in Venezuela, man. In Paris, I remember us laughing about your passport and how official the documentation in Venezuela is. And I think about it regularly, so I hope you guys are doing all right down there. You know, keep on keeping on. Just know that every time you're experiencing a blackout, that we're here in Puerto Rico thinking about you, because it happens to us too.
It'll happen. I mean, I know. But yeah, man, thank you again.
Cool.
And I'll see you soon.
Take care.